All right, welcome back to another episode of the Wired Sound podcast. Today we have a very special guest here, someone I'm super happy we could get on. We have Jake Shore.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me, man. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, man. To give the listeners a little bit of background, Jake Shore has been absolutely crushing the DJ game, touring around the country, releasing tracks, some bangers. Some Lose Control. Was it Take Control with
Take
Henry
control.
Fong?
Yeah, take control.
One of my
Henry Fong.
favorites.
Thank you.
Still
Yeah.
rinsing that out.
Yeah.
And
great.
just crushing things. So what have you been up to?
Man, just like you said, crushing it. Just trying to do my best to not only put out a high quality of music and content these days with the whole scene, and but really just understanding my role also in the music industry as like somebody who is basically making a career out of just being themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like somebody, not somebody, my best friend, DJ Susan, we were just talking, we talk to each other every Monday. Imagine talking to that guy on a Monday morning. He put it simply like these days, being yourself is it's such a rare thing that it's like celebrated, which is crazy. It's like you should just be yourself, right? But
It's hard. People
it is
find
hard, and it's I don't mean to make it sound easy, but at the end of the day, I think I've realized a role that I have and that I take a lot of pride in being a former educator is to be able to empower other people, inspire other people that if I'm doing this, you can do it too, but also sharing my journey along the way and not just the good shit. I think a lot of DJs, a lot of producers, they only show
constantly
they show the
flexing.
good shit, and it can come off like promoting and selling and the me, and that's cool. You got to do that for sure.
Yeah.
It's a business, but at the same time, I found that I have a voice and a voice that people are willing to listen to, and I think I've backed it up with all the things that I do and say, and yeah, that's the difference, is like,
Okay.
and so yeah, I'm just kind of coming into the fact that I'm a business owner and I'm moving like that now, but I'm also realizing that. Um, yeah, everything has been an experience and has got me to this point. And as I grow myself, I want to try and give people, the
What
ability
the
to
come up
grow.
is like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're like, I love seeing it. Your content
I
is just
appreciate
super
it.
engaging and it doesn't feel like you're selling. And I think that's
Good,
super important.
good.
I think a lot of DJs, they think, oh, this content, I got to post my new song and make sure people are listening to my song from it. But that's really not the goal, right? The goal is to get an engaged viewer that has never heard of you before,
Yeah.
that wants to like rewatch you and become a fan.
Dude, I think in this day and age too, like even going viral, as hard as it may seem for some people that maybe haven't gone viral, it's eventually going to happen to you if you keep posting or if you keep showcasing. But I think the other problem that then you run into is like once you go viral, what do you do with it? Do you have all those things in place to make it sustain, to build off of that, to do it again? And that's where being real, being authentic, being in it for the right reasons, not just to go viral, not just to have people behind your stage and while you're DJing, like that's where at the end of the day, making real connections, being authentic and just being yourself, not following trends, not trying to just be viral. That's what's going to actually make the biggest difference. And we were kind of touching on it before we jumped on.
Yeah.
Fast forward to just this past weekend.
You had quite the run, right?
Yeah, I had a good one. I had a first 3 for 3. And see, this is why I'm not ashamed to say that. Like people may think all my shows are great. In the past year and a half of touring for the first time, I've had some of my low moments.
Yeah.
I've had some duds. But it's not. I've realized it's not my fault. It's no one's fault. It's some things are out of your control. But without those moments, I wouldn't have had those learning experiences. But again, fast forward to this weekend, like I had my first 3 for 3, which he's smiling over there because he knows that means I had 3 shows and they were all fucking
Packed
fire.
out.
Can I swear on this? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And they were fire. They were packed out. And very surprisingly, like St. Louis, don't know anybody in St. Louis. And I will honestly say the promoters themselves had a lot to prove.
Yeah.
As they're kind of coming up in the game. They got a good pulse on the scene. Shout out to Umbrella Underground. They brought their group, but the room was also half full with people that knew me. And
That's an amazing feeling,
dude,
right?
It's like so humbling, and it's hard to fathom that like people are showing up to the show, one for me, but also like having conversations with them after the show or even before. I was running around with a WWE belt, putting it on people. Like they're like thrown off. They're like, wait, are you really like scared to take a picture type shit? I'm like, dude, what? I'm here for you. Like,
Yeah.
And it just feels like that is what's going to be the difference between just being an artist or just being a DJ or just having a good song. It's how you made people feel.
100%.
Um, and
They want to feel welcomed
yeah,
and
and I
like they're a
felt that.
part of like the
Yeah,
Jake
dude.
Shore family,
Yeah, and I
right?
felt that this weekend, man. Yeah, with the signs, like the
Yeah.
WWE signs. I'm a massive WWE fan, and like people are starting to bring like signs to the shows and saying funny shit on them, and like way
That
cooler
are
than
personal to your life or
yeah,
to what you're
like
posting on social.
requests or like something about the mullet or like
Yeah.
just meaningful shit. And I think that's been something for me too that I've taken a lot of pride in is making people feel like they're a part of this journey
Yeah, in
as
your
much
community, yeah.
yeah, as much as it's just like, yes, this is my project and my baby, but it's it doesn't work without you, without the person that's
Yeah, and I think
involved.
everybody wants the quick come up, right? But
Yeah.
it just does not sustain, right? If you have a viral hit, I mean, there's plenty of guys and girls that have had songs on TikTok, took off, and then they just never followed up. They didn't have a fan base to
Yeah.
back it, and
Well,
they
you see it a
disappear.
lot of them. They get, for lack of a better term, used and abused, right?
Yeah.
The here comes all the agents and all the
The
record
industry just
labels
sees it and hops on it.
and then you never hear about them, right?
Mhm.
Or and I say it all the time too. It's like, man, I see X, Y, and Z trying so hard, but like, okay, what happens if you get that moment, bro? Are you gonna know what to do with it?
Yeah.
And like, I'm not sitting here saying I knew what to do with it when I first went viral, but I did because I was just being myself and I didn't go viral the first time for something I wasn't, which was at the time playing music for my third grade students. It was it was just real. I wasn't faking it. And then also, most people don't know this, but when I first started doing those TikToks in the classroom, I had already put in my year's leave of absence to
Mhm.
to leave teaching. So I only had 2, 3 more months of this TikTok
Yeah,
teacher
and you're
thing.
like, why not?
And I had to, well, that, but I also knew that it was going to change. I had to pivot at some
So you
point.
weren't gonna get fired for
No, it's the crazy thing about that is my principal, shout out to her. I won't drop her name in this just for privacy reasons, but she's a very by the book principal and was a great principal and not necessarily one I would have shared that I was doing that in the classroom with, but because I had such a relentless support from not only the kids, because like your teacher's like making you famous in a sense, and the parents. Last week of school, I remember asking her, I was like, "Hey, Mrs. So and So, like, is it okay if I DJ the last day of school? It's my last day ever. Like the parents are cool with it." She's like, "Sure, I don't see a problem. Just, get the parents to sign off. And obviously music got to be clean." I had somebody film it too. So you got to get some like signatures, etc. And I go, "Yeah, by the way, just so you know, like I've been TikToking like the kids' reaction to my music and stuff the last couple of months." She's like, "I know. I seen it."
They see all that
She goes,
stuff.
"I seen it. Pretty awesome what you're doing." And
That's
I was just like, whoa. Not from her, it was a big deal. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, damn, that's crazy. So
You gotta go back for like maybe probably in like 6th grade now, like a 6th grade graduation Jake Shore set.
you want to hear something
Come on.
crazy? I
That
had a
happening?
kid. Oh, well, you know what? If you watch this, you can get the juice early.
Yeah.
I had a kid from my first year teaching. So, by the way, I started teaching when I was 21 years old.
Okay.
Imagine a 21-year-old running a classroom of like 5th graders, right? So they're like 11 and 12 years old. I remember it was the year of the ice bucket challenge. So of course I was like the teacher. I was like, sure, throw a bucket of ice on me. Immediately, the whole community was like, who is this teacher? Like he's cool.
only
He's
one,
doing
yeah.
he's doing like with the ice bucket challenge with the kids. But this kid, again, won't say his name. He was definitely one of the cooler kids in the classroom. He was a great student. Definitely a kid I was like, yeah, you're gonna go places. He emails my agent, says, "Hey, I'm one of Mr. P's former students. I'm the social chair at my fraternity at Indiana University, and I see he's absolutely crushing it. Would love to have him headline our spring show."
That's amazing.
So we're working it out right now. I got on the phone, I got his contact. I was like, "Bro,
Yeah, that's
how
gonna be
are
so
you?"
full
Well,
circle.
he's like, "Can't believe he's talking to me." He's like, "I can't believe you're doing what you're doing." And I was like, "Man, we're gonna make this like a whole thing. I'm like from the email to when I get there, TikTok, we're gonna do the whole thing
Yeah,
and
that's gonna be
showcase it."
unreal.
Dude, I was like tweaking because I'm like, man, this is really happening. Slash, if you're doing the math now, people are like, oh well, like I feel old too, but it's
Yeah, he's in college and everything.
I'm happy, I'm excited. That'll be a cool one.
Yeah. So, your content, of course, on point, but your music, I've noticed a specific sound. You're going for like high energy house, right? Is that?
Yeah, there's a lot of the weird names for it right now. People are calling it speed house.
Okay.
I like to call it hard house because back in the 90s, that was it evolved from like the Chicago, Detroit house music into like the UK picked it up, and
Yeah,
the UK brought in
garage.
like this like a mixture of garage, rave, and it was all at like 140, 145, and then the Euro dance trend came. So
Mhm.
I like to tell people, if last year was like early 90s Jake Shore, this is like 1999 Y2K Jake Shore we're about to
Alright.
embark on. And it doesn't feel like I'm chasing a trend. It's popping right now overseas,
Oh, I
right?
know, in the
Australia,
UK and
UK. It really truly feels like I found a sound. Feels like it's what I've been getting to. Hectic, Take Control. I love those tracks. They definitely are my sound. But at the same time, when it comes to my sets now, man, buckle up, dude.
yeah, high
There,
energy.
it's like fucking yeah. There's no speed limit, and it's like the people want that. I think the days of playing on an all 128 house set
Or
is
yeah,
it's harder.
they're
And look,
gone.
I'm sitting with a guy across. You can't see him right now, but we come from an area where you got to play. Open format is the game, and that's how I grew up, and that's how you got your rank. And so, just dance music in general right now is becoming more dynamic than ever, and I'm here for it. And I'm
You
just
gotta switch it up.
yeah, and so even my sets now, like by going into that higher house music, it allows them to feel connected to like what's popular, but also it allows me to then genre bend into DMB really quickly,
Mhm.
bounce from 140 down to a trap set, like, and it's throwing people.
Give the crowd a what the fuck moment. Like,
It
what
yeah,
what
and
just
it's throwing
happened?
people off, and I have the entertainment and the theatrics to go along with it. I'm acting like I
Your
pressed the wrong
energy
button.
is
Yeah,
insane. I don't know
and
how you do it.
yeah, people are like, "Did he fuck up?" I'm like, "No, no, no. This is just the edit that I have ready to go." So, and thank you. I appreciate that. I'm realizing that, that is starting to set me apart is the energy that I bring to a set. People know, don't wear your best shit. You're gonna be sweating,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be nonstop energy the entire time.
So,
So,
do you find that tough, like keeping the energy level on, like as far as you're traveling, right? You're going from city to city. You're on
yeah.
maybe 3, 4 hours of sleep sometimes.
Mhm.
Is it tough to like? How do you pump yourself up? Just is
Yeah,
it
we
just
were
the
just talking
adrenaline?
about this. I haven't really been too public about this, but I got a trainer about 3 or 4 months ago now.
Okay.
Shout out Julio DeSanto, and I hope I'm saying his last name right. But anyways, Julio is what I know him as, and he's been great. And I needed a who. I've always like I knew how to work out, and I knew how to how to stay fit.
Yeah.
But for what I'm trying to do with the speed of the house music and just the overall
Don't want to
look,
pass out on stage.
well, I'm also just trying to look the part. I mean, I am trying to look like a WWE superstar within the next year. So it starts with cutting down and eating right, and he was my who to change my body. I've
Mhm.
lost about 25 pounds in the
That's
last
amazing.
3-4 months, and for good reasons. Like it's all been diet, and so the idea is to cut, and then get jacked up. But
So
it's been helping on the road too because I
yeah,
eat
I was
clean.
gonna say, do you eat clean on? I struggle with it
I eat
myself.
so
I'm like,
that was a struggle. This whole first phase of his program is called awareness. So it's just being aware of what you haven't been doing, what you
mhm.
have been doing, what you're good at, what needs to be focused on. The road on two facets. Yes, it's definitely harder to eat on the road because you don't have as many good options, but there's definitely ways to find those things. So like here's my routine, like the Archer beef jerkies. I know Crespo just had a whole bag of those.
Yeah.
Great source of protein, low fat. As soon as I get to a place, I'm ordering on Instacart or going to the nearest like convenience store, and I'm getting the Elite Power proteins that are 42 grams of protein, barely any fat, barely any carbs, and I'm getting the Oikos yogurts.
Okay.
That's primarily
Yeah, I
from
take notes here because
well, and then I realized too that I had to change my rider
yeah.
because the first couple sets I did during this cut, I got dizzy, bro.
Mhm.
And it's because I had been eating every day on a regimen and going to bed at 10. But now for 3 days in a row, being asked to stay up and burn God knows how many calories
Yeah.
between the
12
hours of
3 a.m.
12 and 3 a.m. So the electrolytes and just my whole rider has changed. So now some of those things I just mentioned, I have on my rider now. So instead of going and getting a nasty food after my set, I just take it off my rider and bring it home. So there's been a lot of like changes for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, the
that's super.
nutrition's huge, 100%. And then also just, I don't drink.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I've gone through
So
my battles with drinking over the past 3 years. I've been more public about that too, just because I feel like there's no shame in it. And I also realize that it's not black and white. I'd say in the past 3 years, 95% of that time, I haven't touched alcohol. There's been moments where I thought I'm ready to go back and have a
Mhm.
good time, and I quickly realized it ain't for me. And right now I just passed 100 days again,
Oh, congrats, man.
and
That's awesome.
you know, I was talking to earlier about the 10x book, and 10x is easier than 2x if you want to 10x your life. And just to keep it short on that tip, like one of the chapters of that book talks about think about the times you've 10x your life before.
Mhm.
And the first time I started to make music, stopped being just the local DJ, stopped going out and partying while I DJ'd, sat down, made music, and stopped drinking. That was when my life started to change. And so, reading this book recently, I thought to myself, all right, well, this is the new 10X. So, I need to go back to what I did last time. And one
Yeah.
of them was drinking. So, I just completely have cut it out.
It's a tough thing as a DJ. Like, I
Yeah,
struggle with it myself.
yeah, it is.
I talked about this on TikTok the other day. Like, I had a guy just get in my face, be like, "Yo, take a shot with me," and like, starting getting aggressive, saying he's gonna get the owner if I wasn't taking the shot. I'm like, dude,
That's fucking crazy.
I'm like, I don't want to take a
Hold
shot
on,
right
hold on.
now.
That's crazy. And I'm going to give you some juice.
Yeah.
If there's a person out there that makes you take a shot or that makes you want to drink and gives you a hard time about it, one, that person has the problem,
Mhm.
not you. Two, I'll give you a little liner that I use very seldomly because most people are normal enough and not weird enough to do that. But what I would tell them is, what does me not drinking have to do with your good
Having a
time?
good night. They get offended as like am I too. Like it's I
Because
just
at
am
that
not.
point, if they keep going, like in that case, it was probably just you and him in a loud room.
Yeah.
But usually, if they're around people, it's gonna make them look so fucking weird. Because at that point, it looks like fiendy. It
What is
looks
this
like,
guy
why do
doing?
you?
I mean, they're usually blacked out. Like,
Yeah,
this has happened like 3 or 4 times to me. And
I
I'm
mean,
like,
and that's gonna happen. I think and in that dynamic, you probably don't even have that much time to talk to people.
Yeah.
But that's kind of when you got to turn on like fuck you, Landis, and be like,
no,
listen,
I
man,
do.
like get away from me.
If I'm not drinking, I'm not drinking.
And if
Like,
you know what,
that's-
and this I have to say this unfortunately because again it goes back to somebody watching this maybe like, oh, he thinks he's cool because he doesn't drink. That is not what I'm trying to say at all. And if you're thinking like that, again, those people are the one who have a little bit of
Yeah.
an issue with their drinking, not me. What I'm saying is, I don't care if you drink, man. If you drink, good for you. If you can handle it and you can be yourself, for me personally, and you can ask people back in Chicago. Just had a podcast with Strategy. But when I drank and what he knew me as back then, I wouldn't be here now if I kept doing that. And
Yeah.
that's just me being honest. I'm not a good drunk. Most people aren't. You know what I mean? And so there's so much on the line right now. There's so much at stake. I can't afford to say something I don't mean, do something I shouldn't do, or miss a day.
Yeah.
I just can't. You
And
know?
it happened. Like I've seen big DJs that I looked up to, and maybe I've opened for them or something, and they're like, rounding out in the corner. I'm like, like this hurts me. Like I love this guy. I love this girl. I
And
love
it
their
works
music.
for a little bit, but I'll tell you right now, it's no matter what you see or what you see some of your idols or what people make it look like,
Mhm.
there's
not
no way
sustainable.
it's not sustainable. It's just no way. At some point, you're playing with matches, and eventually, it's gonna come back and bite you. And I don't wish that upon anybody. And again, I'm not sitting here saying don't drink. This is a me thing. It's not anybody else thing. But I will say, if you are trying to, these are just things that have helped me. And you asked, like, how are you able to keep up?
Yeah, and build with the
At this
energy.
point, I couldn't imagine doing what I do, especially this past weekend where it's literally city to city. Like you said, I'm up till 4 a.m. every
Mhm.
night, getting maybe a couple hours of sleep, doing it again. To be wasting the energy, hungover, wondering what I did, what I said, did my set go well? Did I piss the owner off? Did I do something I wasn't supposed to do? Where's my wallet? Where's my phone?
Yeah,
I shouldn't have
it's
touched
not
that guy.
worth it. Yeah.
I don't got time to do that, bro.
Yeah.
It's one thing if the owner or somebody doesn't want me to come back because I was sober and they just didn't fit their vibe. It's another thing is if I was drunk.
Yeah, and,
and
that reputation spreads.
and
like
it spreads so
wildfire.
fucking fast,
It's
man.
like you cannot be
So
that.
yeah, I just and again, I look at it as, look, am I never gonna drink again? I've learned now in 3 years that there's probably a chance I'll drink again.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna, because for the longest time there was the whole guilt factor of when I did drink again, I would be like, oh my god, the fuck's
Yeah, you
wrong
just
with
messed
me?
up the-
And
yeah.
that's not healthy either. So I've learned to just not put that type of pressure on myself. I'm in just this. I tell people, I said it on my story yesterday, I'm on a war path right now, bro.
Mhm.
I
No,
don't
you've been
have
crushing
I
it,
don't have
too.
time. I don't have time to deal with any of that. I don't have time to deal with the negativity. I'm not by any means perfect because of it, but I will say I eliminate so much bullshit because I don't drink. And you just gotta kind of
Listen.
be fucking confident as shit with it and just tell people no, dude.
I think, yeah, I did the dry January thing,
Yeah.
and my whole perspective is shifting because I was a drinking every weekend
Yeah.
DJ, and I'm like, maybe, you know, and I'm
I
starting to
applaud
see
the
stuff.
I applaud the dry January thing, and I applaud that it seems like it's becoming more of a thing. But it also then strikes me the question is, if you can do it 1 month in January, what's stopping you from
From doing
if
it
people come
permanently.
away from it and like, oh my god, it was so amazing, but then go right back to the shit they were doing. To me, it's like, what's that old saying? Like, you know, the definition of crazy is just doing
Yeah,
something
doing the
over
same
and
thing
over.
over and over.
So it's
Yeah.
like, and now look, it's way harder said than done. Our society, our culture has, since I was 13, I was drinking in people's basements in Chicago, drinking in college,
Yeah, it
waking up.
glorifies it.
It is so glorified. It is so everywhere that it is extremely hard to it's extremely hard to get out of that cycle. But you know, I'm trying to get involved with some people. I got a friend out in New York who just opened up like a non-alcoholic bar, and has been also kind of teasing it with like a mobile thing. And you know, he's pretty well known. I can't say his name right now, and we're kind of still in talks of things. But I shared with him, I can share this, that my dream would be to facilitate and be a pioneer of having a food truck slash beverage truck that sells only non-alcoholics at festivals, and has an option for people that you want to go to a festival, whatever you want to do, but you don't want to do drinking. You have somewhere to go. You know, I know they got water stations, and they do have the options, but I
Yeah.
feel like, think about it. To get a non-alcoholic, where do you got to go?
Yeah.
You got to go to a beer tent that's being served with a bunch of people that are drinking, and
Yeah,
it's all in your. So I just feel like, you know, I feel like there's definitely a lot more awareness of it now, and I think this younger generation is very, as you can say a lot
Hyper-aware,
about
yeah.
Gen Z, but they are super aware of the bullshit that's
Mhm.
being fed to them in a lot of cases, and I think that's
Yeah.
alcohol is one of them.
And I think you're seeing it in the EDM scene manifest with like the what's the coffee shop pop up where
Yeah,
they're doing
yeah.
DJs.
The
I
LA
saw-
coffee
you were with
shops.
that guy,
Yeah. So that's Steve Cardigan.
Okay.
Funny enough, a lot of people don't know this, but Steve Cardigan's actually my A&R.
Oh wow. I
He's
didn't know that.
he's like my label that I work with.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so one of the main reasons I worked with him, man, is because he is changing what it means to be an A&R, and he's got the best pulse on the scene.
Yeah.
And he said it
But
flat
that is
out, like the
amazing,
culture's changing, and people they don't want to get fucked up
Yeah,
necessarily.
the coffee DJ set.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole
And
different
it's going
vibe.
crazy. So shout out to Steve.
Yeah.
A little selfless plug here for him, but yeah, no, he's I mean, I think that's just what, and you got to listen to what people want. And I know a lot of club owners might be scratching their head, well, what the fuck does that mean for
how do
us?
I
Like,
make my,
I
money back?
think but guys, it's business, right? You just got to evolve. It doesn't mean it has to go away.
Mhm.
It just means you have to evolve. Make it an option. Make it something that people can get excited about and not feel the pressure of having to buy a $4,000 table and sit there and drink and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It shouldn't be
per-
like a requirement to
Right,
go out and see
right.
one of your favorite artists.
I also, let's just be honest, people don't have that money.
Yeah.
People can't even buy groceries anymore, man. So like, how can you expect them to go buy? And first of all, what type of people is that that are going and buying that shit?
And then you're playing the bottle service.
You know,
crowd who
and
might
like-
not know your music. And
I get it though. It's a business, so I'm not gonna sit here and say don't do it, because it's part of my business too. You know,
it's probably my biggest.
you know. So
crowds or bottle service.
right,
crowds, so.
but at the same time, it doesn't mean you guys can't evolve. And I think any business owner anywhere, if you stop learning and evolving, you're going to die. That's just any business, period. You know, so I think it's just, we're in a shift. I think the last 4 years have opened up a lot of shit for people in all different facets of the world. I think people are tired of the BS. I think they're tired of getting fed. And the best part about there being so much social media and so much is you're finding the truth really fast.
Yeah.
You're finding out what people like, what they don't like, and what they believe in and what they don't believe in really fast. There's a big part of the country that still believes in a lot of shit and still believes in other shit. But like, if what Steve was saying about the club culture and how people really would want to be at this coffee shop, if it was not true,
It would be dead.
it wouldn't be
one day,
happening.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, at some point you gotta kind of bend a little bit. You know, it's a perfect example. Here's another plug. But the guys out in Boston, the Big Night Talent, Big Night Group, Big Night Entertainment, they own, you know, the Grand, they own Big Night Live, that are traditionally more bottle service, commercially based kind of bring in those big marquee
Yeah.
headliners. People kind of come to see like that big marquee DJ buy bottles. Great. And those rooms kill. What they realized they were missing was a place that was more in tap with the local music scene, that was more about the music, that was intimate, that was low
This
ceiling.
basement.
And now
It
we
just
have
all
Basement
popped off,
over
yeah.
there. So I'm excited because I'm playing Basement
It's gonna be
January
sick.
31st. Be there if you're in Boston or the surrounding area because Connecticut's like right there and shit. But it's tapped in. And as a business, they just evolved.
Yeah,
They
you gotta do that. You
they
can't
heard
just-
what the people want and they evolved and they did what they needed to do. And that's the sign to me of a smart business owner and somebody who understands that like you can't just settle with what worked 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and same with DJing. You can't just settle with what worked 10 years ago. It's changed now, man.
Yeah,
You got to
so
get with it.
I want to know your thoughts on this because, like, I saw so many DJs when the TikTok ban was happening post like, "Thank God it's going," and like shit like that. And I'm like, why? Like, this
I
is
did too.
the only organic platform that like a lot of DJs came up the past
Yeah,
4 years through
I
TikTok.
get it. I mean, look, I'll say this. TikTok changed my life. And it has the ability to change anybody's life that puts the time and effort into it.
Mhm.
To knock somebody because of that or kind of parade around and say that is like you making fun of somebody who just lost their job in a sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I look at it. Laugh at that or not, it's the reality of it, right? Also, I'm also going to sit here and say there's definitely been a lot of talentless people who have gotten somewhere through TikTok as well. But that's just what happens. I think the last thing you should do is sit there and complain about what you're not doing
Mhm.
or like because you don't want to do something that is clearly the new
Content game.
it's
and
not even
things
the
like
new
that.
content game. It is
It's
the
what's-
game
Yeah,
now.
it's what people pay
And
attention to.
I
right
think
now.
those are just like the other businesses. They just don't want to. They want to complain and point fingers instead of, you know, they want to complain and point fingers instead of actually just try.
Okay.
And I think it stems back from people just like also being afraid to be themselves.
Yeah,
know?
and people. I mean, it does not feel natural for, I guess, maybe some of the DJs that have been around for a little bit. Because I've been in this game for a minute, and you know, the first time getting on camera, it was not natural to me. I
yeah.
still like am trying to figure it out.
But you're
figure out my
trying,
persona.
bro.
But yeah,
And you've had some success.
yeah, no,
You
I had
saw
some
what happened
TikTok
too.
hype,
Yeah.
and it helped. And I had people be like, "Yo, I've seen you from TikTok," and I was like, "Oh, by the way, I make music." all this stuff.
And that's okay. And so, like, I think it's just like anything else. You're gonna have people, and I saw it too. I saw people like, "Oh, thank God, we're finally gonna get real music now," etc. It's like you're really telling me that like there's been no good music that you've listened to because of it. I mean, there's been plenty of great music that we've gotten from it, and honestly, it's weeded out the gatekeepers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. In my opinion, it would just shift back to the major labels controlling the game.
Yeah, that's kind of what it does. And like, look, yeah, the major labels and the labels have had to do less work in a sense because they're using the TikTok as a proven commodity and a proven like, yeah, we can sign this because we know it's. So yeah, I mean, there's that, which is kind of annoying, but it's also given us the fucking power back.
Yeah,
If you don't have to sign it to a label, you could say,
you can be independent.
yo,
yeah.
why do I need you when I just did this? Like, I think you got to remember that at the end of the day, it gives us the voice. And as long as we have the voice, the change comes and the truth comes versus putting it into the hands of just a few people. You know what I mean? And like, you could say that about a lot of different things, but yeah, I just think I'm glad it's back on. I hope it stays on.
Yeah,
And I think it's good for the actual culture. It's part of the culture now. It is the culture.
100% agree.
you know?
You know, and I think as you know, we talk about this at the academy. Like, we think becoming a DJ, since people see other people doing it, they're like, I could do that. I could
Yeah.
pursue it, and maybe actually make the jump of trying to pursue their dream.
You know what it is? It's the same guys who complained when turntables turned to CDJs.
Yeah,
And where are those guys now? You know, some of them are maybe still doing it. Good for you. Stick to your roots. But it's
You
just
gotta adjust.
you got to adjust.
You gotta
It's the
roll with
same
it.
people that like when, you know, Napster came along and flipped the whole thing upside down and, you know, CDs weren't bought anymore and it turned to downloads that were complaining about. And for better or for worse, you ain't going to do anything about it. You might as well just get with it or get rolled over. I don't know what to say. I mean, I can't sit here and I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, fuck TikTok." You know what I mean? Like, what is that really going to do for me?
Yeah, it's not gonna help you as an artist to hate on a platform that's
Plus,
helping
look
other
how
artists.
many more people were so sad that it was leaving. Like, had emotional reactions to it leaving.
Yeah.
You know, so that should also tell you something too.
Yeah, it helped a lot of people's
Yeah,
lives.
so that's a good
So
question. I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah.
Actually.
So music wise, tour wise, any big things coming up that we could look forward to?
Yeah, I'm building. You know, I'm focusing in on trying to work with a lot of those like more middle. I don't even want to call them a certain tier. I would just say more closer to the pulse and closer to the ground related outfits as far as promoters and people
Mhm.
that are really trying to curate something special and understand that things are changing. Um, so I'm working with a lot of cool like groups like that, bunch of different college shows that are coming up. Got some Miami Music Week stuff that's just popped in.
Sick.
Musically, we got 4 or 5 releases already set up. Um, yeah, buckle up because the speed I got a need for speed and the mullet's not slowing down for anybody, baby. So we got a lot of the like I said, the hard house, Euro dance stuff, more originals, a couple fun flips, couple spots on Confession. A lot of people that
I
are
love
just
Confession.
they're just shout out
Obi.
shout out Obi, yeah. Shout out Chami, shout out Obi. A lot of people that are just believing in the sound and a lot of labels that have they're wanting to get to know me versus excuse me. A lot of labels that want to get to know me and are willing to open up what I'm doing into like not
In
just making
your
me
brand, yeah,
exactly,
become a
not just
part of it.
making me make something for their sound. They're willing to like jump on what I'm doing, which is like mad crazy.
Yeah, it's huge. You know,
Yeah.
them yeah, allowing you to
It's
do your
huge,
thing.
man. So no, I just like I said earlier, I feel like people are really I feel like I'm fucking it's whatever I'm doing is finally starting to like really deeply impact and like hit the masses and people are starting to take note and it's one thing to believe it internally from yourself and from like your team,
But you see it now. You
but
start to see the
hearing it
results.
from other people and some people that are doing it is like man, it's fucking motivating and it's just I'm not the type to just sit there and be like, all right, we're done. No, now it's like
You take
pedal
that
to the
next
metal.
level.
Yeah, let's go. So I'm excited. I'm also excited to see what DJing turns into because I think if you know me, you know that I am much more than just a DJ and much more than just an artist. I'm excited to see what the opportunities come as far as, you know, anything. Being working with brands, working on TV, working on streaming,
WWE, Jay
WWE.
Shore,
Hit me up.
it's happening.
Hit me up. I'm next manager for the big guy. Let's go. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I'm excited. This year's gonna be fun and I'm ready to disrupt shit.
Awesome, man. All right, well, we got to wrap it up here. But thank you so much for coming on the Wired Sound podcast.
Had a great
Cannot
time.
wait to see what you do the next few years. I know it's going to be big.
Let's go, baby. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Peace.